The Marlins have electric prospects ready to make their debut this season.
You are Locked On Marlins, your daily podcast on the Miami Marlins.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Marlins, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. I'm your host, Jeremiah Geiger. I'm a diehard Marlins fan, and I've podcasted about the team for the last 4 seasons. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel or follow wherever you get your podcasts. On today's show, we're going to get into the future of the Marlins organization. 2026 is a big year. It's a big season because we're going to see a team that's coming off of a 79-win year and a chance to improve upon that record and compete for the playoffs. But they're not all in on the playoffs. And what I mean by that is, yes, they want to win. They want to win as many games as they can. They want to compete. But the organizational philosophy remains the same. They're building through the farm system, and in 2026, you're going to see guys make their major league debuts as the Marlins build for continued, consistent success. They're not going to push all of their chips in right now and try to go all in right now. It would be great to compete in 2026. I think they can. But we're going to start to see the path become more clear. The Marlins of the future continue to show up. Last year, the emergence of Kyle Stowers, Augustin Ramirez, Otto Lopez, I believe, can prove to be a building block in 2026. What other prospects do I believe the Marlins have in the system right now that are going to make an impact this coming season? And we're just a month away from pitchers and catchers reporting to spring training. Grapefruit League. It's going to be here before we know it. I cannot wait. Football season is finally over. Not finally over. I love football. I'm sure many of you guys do. But there's something about baseball, and you have a long off season. It's cold. It's winter time. When baseball's around the corner, there's not much like it. I'm ready to go. Sorry to all my Canes fans out there. Tough national championship loss, but you have the Marlins to look forward to. And now let's get into what prospects debut you should be looking forward to. I'm going to start with a couple of pitchers. Number 1 on my list, Robby Snelling. Former linebacker recruit out of a Nevada high school. He was recruited by Division I programs. He played baseball, played football, has this bulldog mentality when he's on the mound. And Peter Bendix stole him from San Diego. Just stole him away. Snelling was part of the Tanner Scott deal in the summer of 2024. If you remember correctly, Tanner Scott spent half a season with the San Diego Padres before signing a huge deal with the Dodgers. He was a rental. He was going to be a free agent at the end of the year. Comes over to Miami. Looks like an absolute stud. Makes his AAA debut last season and pitched well. Pitched really, really well. The numbers jump off the page for Robby Snelling. I believe that Snelling could have made his major league debut late last year. I think the organization deep down knows that, but they wanted to give him as much time as possible in order to continue building him for the future. And I misspoke. He did pitch a single game for AAA at the end of 2024. But last season was split between AA and AAA. Made 11 starts at the AAA level. Went 6-2, a 1.27 ERA in 63 2/3 innings. Struck out 81, and his whip under 1. 0.99 whip. Certified stud. Robby Snelling's ready to go. I believe that Snelling, with a good spring training, can make the rotation out of camp. And that's something that I didn't expect, nor would I have proposed to be a realistic idea just a couple of weeks ago. But you take away Edward Cabrera, who's been shipped off to Chicago. You take away Ryan Weathers, who's been dealt to the Yankees, suddenly the rotation feels a lot more open. And a guy like Snelling can make his debut sooner rather than later. The question, what it comes down to with Robby Snelling and the timing aspect is, do the Marlins want to get that extra year of control? And if they do, then he probably doesn't make his debut right out of spring training. He's not going to be in the opening day rotation because there's service time manipulation and that clock that starts if a player makes his debut before a certain date, and I think it's sometime in May. I'll have to check on what specific date it is. It's not deep into the season, but that could be something that Peter Bendix and the Marlins front office takes a look at and says, look, we're willing to give it another month or two, have a placeholder in the rotation, but when Snelling is up, he's ready to go. I'd love to see Snelling break camp because what he does is provide a stability, provide an aggression and a dominance in the rotation that immediately makes him one of the more exciting prospects in all of baseball, exciting pitching prospects in all of baseball. He's dominated the AAA level. There's nothing left to prove for Snelling. Cannot wait to see his debut. He's got really good stuff. This isn't just a numbers projection where I look at some stats and I say, well, he's got good numbers, but the stuff is kind of average. No, that's not the case at all. He's got a really good fastball that can ramp up to the high 90s, 97. He was hitting 97 on the gun a season ago. Got a great curveball. He's a strikeout machine. And Marlins fans have to be ready. This pitching factory that is being built or that has been built, it's going to keep on rolling. You take away Edward Cabrera and Weathers, and they're finally realizing their potential in South Florida. It's the next wave of prospects. Second pitcher, Thomas White. Thomas White, I don't believe is going to make the debut as soon as Snelling does. I think Snelling gets the call before Thomas White. But that doesn't mean that Thomas White's ceiling is lower than Snelling. They're ace one, ace two. That's how I look at them. And White's probably the better pitcher in terms of pure stuff. I mean, White can hit 100 miles an hour, devastating breaking ball. Again, a strikeout machine. The Marlins like guys that have nasty stuff. That's what they're building their future around, is pitching. And can guys get outs at the major league level? Because it doesn't matter what college you pitched for. Doesn't matter what high school you pitched for. Stuff is stuff. You throw nasty strikes, you're going to get nasty outs. You're going to get batters out at the major league level. So it is all about stuff and, of course, command. You have to tone in and dial in that command. So with Thomas White in particular, the stuff jumps off the page. But I will say one of the things I want him to work on in 2026 especially is the command. Sometimes he could get a little bit wild. There would be times where, yeah, he's striking out everybody, but he's also, walking more batters than you'd like to see. Last season, 5.12 walks per nine. That was across three levels. In AAA, it kind of got away from him a little bit, the command. And I think that's the last thing the Marlins want to see from White before he makes his debut for the Marlins, and him and Snelling are paired with Yuri. They're paired with Sandy as the next big thing on the Marlins pitching staff. So if White can command his stuff and command the strike zone a little bit better, it's imperative that he has a good spring training. It's imperative that this is something he's actively working on because, again, the stuff is what puts him at the top of these prospect rankings. The stuff, the fastball velocity, the slider, the sweeper, all that is great. You have to learn to control it. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot of unrealized, untapped potential. Because when I look at a pitcher like White, I see Cy Young. I see Cy Young potential written all over it. Best left-handed pitching prospect in the game. Just got to dial in on the command. Coming up next, I'm going to talk to you about a couple of hitters that I am excited to get a chance at the major leagues. That's coming up right after this. FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action, because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Every game day, you're going to see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts you can apply to the bets you like the most. It's championship weekend. You have the Broncos and the Patriots. You have the Seahawks and the Rams. What bets do you like? Do you like Seattle's defense to get the job done at home? Do you like the Patriots to go on the road against Denver's defense? Maybe a big game from Drake May. Maybe Jarrett Stidham over in Denver takes over and goes on a Nick Foles run. Whatever your hunch is, you can go over and bet that on FanDuel. Apply your profit boosts to go after bigger payouts while the playoffs continue rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Hey, I wanted to talk to you about the Everydayer Club. So Locked On Podcast Network putting on this Everydayer Club. It's $5 a month or $50 a year. We have a group chat on Discord. The link is in the show notes. If you sign up and join, it's going to be a fun season. Going to talk Marlins baseball. Anything on your mind with the salary cap coming up, the CBA. Hopefully the salary cap is in place, but it'll be a good time to talk about the games, talk about trades, all that good stuff. So again, the link is down below in the show notes. Couple of hitting prospects that I think the Marlins could see debut. And I know I teased right before the ad break, I was excited to see their debuts. One of them I am. The other I'm including in this segment because I really don't know if he's going to get a chance to debut. I think that this is his last chance to showcase what he's got. More on that later. But I want to start with my favorite offensive prospect for the Marlins, not named Owen Casey. Big Owen Casey guy. And that's Kemp Alderman. And yes, Joe Mack is up there too, but Kemp Alderman, I think, is the most underrated prospect in the Marlins system. He's not being talked enough about. He's an outfielder who was drafted out of Ole Miss under the previous front office. This wasn't Peter Bendix. This wasn't Frankie Pilieri. That wasn't their draft class. Their first draft class was 2024. Alderman was drafted back in 2023, and he finally put it all together at the AAA level, and double and AAA level. He split some time, got a taste of the jumbo shrimp right before the season ended, but he's a big dude, 6'2", 230, and he rips the cover off of the ball. Just destroys baseballs. You look at some of the max exit velocities he posts. It's crazy. The pitch location, he can get to pitches that not many batters can and then hit it hard. He's not just making soft contact, he's destroying them. Season ago, starts off in AA, hits 282, a 784 OPS, smashes 15 home runs. Then he gets the call to AAA for the last month or so, plays in 20 games, hits 303, an OPS above 1,000, and has 7 home runs in 76 at-bats. The power just exploded there right at the end of the regular season. So I look at Alderman and I say, look, this is a player who's got a taste of the AAA level. The outfield is loaded at the major league level, so he's going to get his time with the jumbo shrimp. He's going to get more at bats, consistent playing time. But at some point in the summer, if he continues mashing, I feel like you have to call him up. If Alderman continues this career growth, the power, the speed, plays solid defense, then he's going to get a chance at the major league level. It just depends on the timing and also at the expense of whom. When is an opening going to come up? Is it going to be due to an injury or a trade? Lots of moving pieces. But if Alderman proves he hits at the AAA level, I could see him getting called up at some point next summer. Joe Mack, really like Mack. I know he's going to make his debut, could make the opening day roster. I view him as the potential catcher of the future. He's going to have to hit, though, at the major league level to justify that projection, right? The defense is there. Gold glove caliber defense from Mack. He's got power. AAA is a lot different from the major leagues. So I'm tempering my expectations a little bit. I'd like to see him, cut down on the whiff rate a little bit, especially against major leaguers. He might struggle early on. Something to monitor. I'm not going to hit any panic button with Mack if he struggles early on in his major league career. I talked about Owen Casey before. I think he has the chance to be a superstar for the Marlins. Iva Arquette, a couple years away. He won't debut in 2026. Here's the wild card. This might throw some people for a loop. Jacob Berry. Jacob Berry had a decent season last year, and there were people on Twitter saying, call Jacob Berry up. Give Berry a chance at the major league level. And I'm at the point where I think to myself, if Berry doesn't get a shot now, he never will. If Berry doesn't get the call at some point in 2026, he never will. Remember, he was left off of the 40-man roster. He's Rule 5 eligible. Any other team could have taken a chance on Berry this offseason, and they didn't. And if they had, he would have had to stick on the 26-man roster and play in the major leagues for the entire season. And there wasn't another ball club out there that felt comfortable enough with taking that shot and giving Berry a chance. I kind of view Berry in the same lens, or let me rephrase this. I believe the Marlins view Berry in the same lens as they did a Troy Johnston. Decent numbers, has proved he can hit at the AAA level. No real expectations moving forward. And probably going to necessitate an injury, some sort of catastrophe where you're in real trouble in terms of finding depth where Berry gets his shot. I mean, Johnston was passed over time after time after time with the Marlins. At some instances, it felt like this is ridiculous. They just hate the guy. They have a personal vendetta against him. And Johnston finally gets the call. He hit 270, and the Rockies ended up getting him. And good for Colorado. I hope he tears it up. I hope he has a 20 home run season in Denver in that altitude. I'll always root for Troy Johnston. But the Marlins never viewed him as part of their long-term plans. For the record, I don't view Jacob Berry in any capacity as well as being part of Miami's future. I don't think he's that good. I don't think he's going to be a good major leaguer, which is why I thought it was so funny when people were saying, call him up, give Berry a chance. I mean, sure, he put up okay numbers at AAA. There's no individual tool that stands out in Berry's game that leads me to believe he's going to be anything more than a fourth or fifth bat off the bench. I mean, Jonah Bride, for goodness sake, was heralded as being some revelation after 70 games a couple of years ago. It ends up getting DFA'd a month into the season. I mean, at least Jonah Bride proved he could do it at the major league level. We don't know. We don't know what Berry is going to do. And that's why I kind of have him listed as a wild card. This is it. This is the last shot. Because if August rolls around, September rolls around, and he's just putting up average numbers at AAA, why would they call him up? You have Paulie. You have, first base is an interesting one. So maybe Berry gets a shot at first base. I have no expectations for it, though. I believe that was a wrong draft pick to make at the time. And the Marlins are realizing that. They know that Barry was not worthy of the 6th overall pick, and you got to move on. And I think they will eventually move on from Jacob Berry at some point. Lots of prospects, debuts that we can talk about here. Coming up next, though, I want to talk about the idea of a franchise icon. Will the Marlins ever have a franchise icon? Will they ever have that player that people look back in history and say, that was a Miami Marlin for life? That's coming up right after this. Hey, I appreciate all my everyday listeners out there who make Locked On Marlins a part of your daily routine. Can't do this without you guys. Of course, like, subscribe, share the podcast as we continue moving forward to another beautiful, wonderful baseball season. I am pumped up. So I got this question from Billy the Marlin enthusiast. It's not really a question. It's more of an idea. And I thought it was great to incorporate this into the show. So Billy, the Marlin enthusiast, shout out to you for the topic. He said the notion of the Marlins ever having a franchise icon of the highest echelon, long-term, lifelong Marlin or not. All respect to Jeff Conine, I'm talking the likes of a Griffey Jr., a Miggy for the Tigers, a Pujols for the Cards. The idea of having a guy who not only succeeds on the field long-term, but who the fans and city as a whole truly connect and identify with on intrinsic levels. Who is the franchise? Another example would be Dwayne Wade for the Heat. JF16 would have been that guy in another world. And of course, shout out Billy the Marlin enthusiast. Great topic. This is going to sound harsh. This is going to sound like I have a pessimistic outlook on the Marlins organization in the future, and that's not the case. I'm going to explain why. The answer is no. I don't believe the Marlins will ever have, as long as Bruce Sherman is the owner, as long as the Marlins are built around Peter Bendix and this philosophy where they're not spending $200 million a year in payroll. It's not going to happen. So assuming that the payroll stays relatively the same, assuming that the Marlins don't sell the team in a year or two, then the Marlins will not operate like that. They will not operate in a way that gives them a franchise icon. Because let's assume for a second that Bobby Witt Jr. is a Marlin. And Bobby Witt Jr. does not sign a contract extension with Miami. And he's still playing under team control. There's a couple more years left of his contract. He's hitting arbitration. It's getting expensive. The Marlins would trade Bobby Witt Jr. They would trade him for a ton of prospects, some more major league pieces, and then reset their window, so to speak. Same thing with the pitching staff. Let's say you develop Tarek Skubal. And instead of Skubal on the Tigers, Skubal's winning back-to-back Cy Youngs with the Marlins. Do you think the Marlins are prepared to give Tarek Skubal a $400 million contract? No. If they did, Skubal would go down as being the best pitcher in Marlins history and winning Cy Youngs, maybe winning a World Series down the line if they operated like a big market team, but they don't. And they never will. Bendix's philosophy, the way Bruce Sherman operates and spending money, it allows for Miami to have competitive windows, like a pocket of time where you're competing. And in an ideal world, that pocket is extended year after year because you're hitting on all the right trades. You're drafting well. You're signing good international free agent classes. And it provides continuous success year after year because you replace your star players with more younger talent that turns into the next wave of stars, and it keeps going. It's like the Rays. The Rays execute this very well for the most part. That's why they've been competitive for the better half of 10, 15 years, because they execute this method of building success. They turn Tyler Glasnow into multiple competitive pieces on the big league roster. I think Ryan Pepio was one of them. Maybe he's not at Glasnow's level, but he's still bringing your organization a ton of value. Now, if you don't hit on these trades, and if you fail to draft well, and you still try to operate like a small market team, then you could be in trouble. So Bendix has to be on point with his trades, with the free agents he does sign, whether it's minor league deals or major league deals. They have to execute at a very high level. That being said, franchise icon would depart the organization. They would turn Tarek Skubal or Bobby Witt Jr. into other prospects, into the next wave of talent. That's at least how I look at it. If you disagree, if you think that the Marlins would take Bobby Witt Jr. and make him a lifetime Marlin, let me know in the comment section. I just don't see it happening. Same thing with the pitching side. I mean, the Pirates have a perfect opportunity to do so with Paul Skeens, right? Paul Skeens currently is the best pitcher on the planet and is playing in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh fans go to the ballpark for him. They don't go for the Pirates. The Pirates aren't very good. But if Skeens is pitching, that's appointment television. That's appointment baseball. If I'm a family in Pittsburgh and I'm considering going to a game, I'm going to try to go to the one that Paul Skeens starts. And I think it would be great for the sport if he was to become a lifelong Pirate. But the chances are it won't happen. And that's okay. I would rather have the Marlins be competitive and end up seeing a World Series victory, get that third trophy, than have a franchise icon. As much as it sucks, you got to enjoy the players while they're here. Kyle Stowers probably not going to finish his career as a Marlin. Agustin Ramirez probably not going to finish his career as a Marlin. That's just the reality of the situation. For your next listen, check out Locked On MLB. Remember, look at the show notes, the description down below about the Everydayer Club Discord channel. $5 a month, $50 a year. And of course, guys, leave a like, share the podcast. We're over 2,200 subscribers on the YouTube channel. So of course, if you're listening to Spotify or Apple, leave a 5-star review. And until next time, stay safe, stay locked on. And as always, let's go fish.